I'm really excited for this video today, guys. I've got 3 great loadouts for you to try on Rebirth Island. Rebirth is actually the most popular Warzone mode right now, and I haven't even been making content related to it, so I'm going to change that today. Start talking about some Rebirth builds. The first one here is the Vargo and the Owen gun. So the Vargo is the new Black Ops Cold War AR that was released probably like 2 weeks ago now. It's very much like a mix between a Farah and a Cold War AK, but it's kind of just better than both of them. So kind of made all the other Black Ops Cold War guns obsolete. It has super easy to control recoil, really low visual recoil, just like the Farah, but really similar TTKs to the Cold War AK. So it's really just a perfect mix of both. So for the Vargo build, it's pretty standard. It's just the Axial Arms 3X, the last barrel. This says Spetsnaz RPK barrel, but I believe for the Vargo, it's actually called the Task Force. I think they made a mistake there. I think it's supposed to be called the Spetsnaz. But it's just the last barrel that you always use on these Black Ops Cold War guns. We get the Spetsnaz grip, obviously, for recoil control, crew suppressor, bullet velocity, damage range, and recoil control. And then the 60-round mag, that's the 4th magazine, not the last one, because the last one hurts your ADS too much. So that's the PC build. If you're on console, I would recommend dropping that optic. So take off the Axial Arms and put on your Serpent Wrap. It'll give you better ADS. And the reason for this is that you're at 80 FOV. So an Axial Arms 3X, the amount of zoom you get on like 115 FOV affected on PC, the amount of zoom you get with that optic is about the same as an iron sight optic on console with 80 FOV. So when all your streamer people that you're watching are using Axial Arms 3X and they're all on PC, you're trying to run that, you're getting way more zoom and thus way more effective recoil that you have to control on console. So if you're on console, I'd definitely try out the Serpent Wrap, see how that feels to you. There's other good options there too. You could use one of the stocks for better ADS movement and things like that. But overall, just getting better ADS time is really important. So with this Vargo, we're going to pair it with the Owen gun. This is an Owen gun that I've covered before on the channel, but it's pretty much perfect for Rebirth. It has huge damage per mag, so you can take out multiple people in a squad that you're pushing. It has some of the best mobility in the game. It also has some of the best TTKs in the game. So overall, it's really, really good. Recoil is pretty low. It's just really, really easy to use. It's a great gun, easy to use for everybody. The one interesting thing about this, I will say, is the M38 Slate 2.5X. Remember that that's the hybrid optic. And the reason we use that is because if you switch the red dot on that, it shifts your view up above that huge mag that's in your way. So that really gives you a better sight picture of what you're looking at. So that's optional. You can swap that to a standard red dot if you want. I'm not going to go through all of these, but believe me, when I was building this, I went through and logicked through every single attachment and built it the way I thought was absolutely best. I didn't just pick 10 attachments. There's a lot of thought that went into this Owen gun build. Before I move into loadout number 2, I want to talk about some TTK numbers here. So this is basically the long-range chart that I generated with the Vargo, AS44, the Odin, the Grau, and the Bren. I think those are some of the top guns. Those are the guns I really focused on for this video. So right off the bat, you're going to see that the AS44, we already knew this, the AS44 has insane TTKs. So that's this magenta line all the way out to 33.5 meters. You get just a ridiculous TTK of like 525 milliseconds. And then that's followed by the Bren, and then followed by the Odin. So the cyan line is the Odin. And if you stack the Colossus suppressor with the 810mm barrel, you get a damage range out to over 80 meters. So on Rebirth Island, almost all of your engagements are going to be within that first damage drop-off, and you get this really good 581 millisecond combination TTK at 250 health all the way out to over 80 meters. And that is insane. That is, compared to these other guns, nothing else even touches that. The furthest damage range is the Grau with almost 50 meters. But even that, the first TTK of the Grau is much worse than the Odin. And with this build, the Odin is pretty usable. So that's going to be the gun we're going to focus on for this second loadout. So with the Odin, we're going to pair that with the AS44, but I'm first going to go over the Odin build. It just has pretty manageable recoil. It has quite a bit of visual recoil, but the Commando foregrip really helps with that visual recoil and makes it very manageable. Yes, it only has a 30-round mag, but the 30-round mag is actually generally plenty. So because it shoots so slow, the damage per mag, even with only 30 rounds, is pretty high with the Odin, especially in that first damage drop-off. So yeah, it seems like it's a problem, and it is a little bit small, but overall it ends up being okay like 95% of the time. And usually in longer engagements, you can have time to reload. It pairs perfectly with the AS44 because they both use assault rifle ammo, and again, the Odin shoots slow, so that conserves your assault rifle ammo. And this AS44 we're going to go over in a second is insane. So definitely wait for that. But for the Odin build, it's again standard. It's the biggest mag, Mando foregrip, longest barrel, Colossus suppressor, and then VLK optic if you're on PC. For the same logic as the Vargo, we're going to drop that optic and put on a tac laser. So you're going to get much better ADS times, much better aiming stability. and the Odin actually has very good iron sights, just like the Vargo does. So there's certain blueprints that remove the top half of that ring. So if you have any Odin blueprints at all, check those for iron sights if you're on console, and that'll be a big plus for you if you have one of those blueprints that removes that ring sight. But overall, the Odin is massively slept on. It's just a crazy good gun, especially in the ranges that are common in Rebirth Island. So I think you should absolutely give this a try. All right, and then the AS44 build, again, it has just disgusting TTKs. This has about a 400 millisecond combined TTK at 250 health, which is quite a bit faster than anything in the game. The only thing that comes close is that Type 100 build that I talked about in a video a couple weeks ago, but this is much more controllable, has more damage range. It's just overall more usable. So the build here is fully loaded, recoil booster, hollow point, the 7.62 Gorenko 50 round mag, the Empress Falchion, I don't know how to say that word, but I'm sure someone in the comments will correct me. But it gives a huge boost to your fire rate. So does the 7.62 Gorenko 50 round mag and the recoil booster. So you end up with like 1350 or 1400 rounds per minute with this gun, which is hugely forgiving, obviously, because you're just putting out so many rounds. Even if you're off the target for a split second, you only really lose a little bit of damage in that case, instead of like a slow shooting gun where you lose a lot of that damage if you miss a bullet in that case. Hand stop, again, the recoil is pretty terrible on this, so we're looking for something to help with that. I tried all of the rear grips, and they don't really seem to help with recoil much at all. So we're just going with the fabric grip because this has pretty bad ADS times, and that helps with ADS as well as helping with hipfire. Slate reflector, just a standard red dot optic. The iron sights are okay, but it's just generally better to use an optic on this gun, I think. And then for the stock, so the ZAC 12A stock, this helps with ADS time and horizontal recoil, both of which we need for this gun, but it does slow down your movement a little bit. So I would recommend using this stock. I thought it helped enough that it was worth using. It actually has a pretty dramatic effect on ADS time, but it does slow your movement down, and you are using this as an SMG. So that's the one downside of this thing, is that one, you run out of those 50 bullets really fast because this has such a ridiculous fire rate, and two, it has pretty slow mobility for an SMG. But for me, the fact that I can get gung-ho on there and have instant sprint to fire time and by far the best TTKs of virtually any gun in the game out to 22 meters makes this just absolutely worth it. This is going to fry lobbies on Rebirth Island. It's going to be just ridiculously good. Quickly want to show you guys the comparison of TTK between that Owen gun from the first loadout and the AS44 from the second loadout. So the Owen gun, I said, had some of the best TTKs in the game, and it does. It has great TTK, 472 milliseconds with that build, and 250 health combination shots all the way out to 13.6 meters, which is great. That is probably like a top 5 TTK gun in the game, if not better than that. But then this AS44 is just insane, all the way down at 400 milliseconds TTK, all the way out to 21 meters. And then after that, I mean, you're not going to be hitting shots after that because it is pretty bouncy. But it's honestly usable. I messed with this, especially on PC. So you got to remember, all my videos are from PC perspective. So I play on 115 affected, which makes recoil feel a lot more manageable for high recoil guns. It doesn't actually change the real recoil of the gun. It just makes it feel more manageable, and there's less effective recoil that I have to correct for because I'm more zoomed out. But I digress. The fact that this has ridiculous TTKs and is semi-controllable, and it has gung-ho, makes it the perfect candidate for one of those, using an AR as an SMG. And I think this is going to be a dominant gun on Rebirth Island. Loadout number 3. This is going to be a sniper loadout. So for Rebirth Island, the debate between Vanguard car, Modern Warfare car, and the Swiss, I think all three of them are really good. For some reason, the Vanguard snipers still just feel off. I don't know what that is. I don't think anyone has been able to put their finger on what that is. But they just don't feel right. They still don't feel right. I've tried to make it work, and every now and then you'll have a good game, but overall it just feels like you're missing shots that you would have hit with the Swiss or the Modern Warfare car. So for that reason, I kind of kicked the Vanguard car off the list of potentials here. And then between Modern Warfare car and the Swiss, Modern Warfare car just has better ADS times and more versatility with builds. So overall, they're both great, but I pretty much picked the car just because of the ADS times. So for the recommended builds, these are pretty standard. So the standard build is just the stock that helps your ADS time, a monolithic suppressor, tac laser, the longest barrel, and a sniper scope. That's the most common. This obviously has a really slow reload time because your guy reloads one bullet at a time. Then there's the aiming stability build. This is one that I'm a huge fan of because I really like when you scope in with bad aiming stability, you're not sure where in that sway you're going to be. So it makes quick scoping a little bit harder. if you have really good aiming stability right when you ADS, you're gonna be right on that white dot, that hip fire dot right in the center of your screen. So that makes it easier to know where you are. Obviously, you can hold your breath instantly, but even that takes some time to recenter back to the center after you do that. So I kind of like aiming stability build. I think they're both great. And then the last build is the sneaky no glint car. So the advantage of this is you're going to get faster ADS than either one of these builds because you're using the Cronin C480, and you can use the T-pose reticle with that to get basically a sniper reticle. So you get better ADS time, and you get the full mag reload like the Swiss has. So instead of loading a single bullet at a time, you load a full clip of all 5 bullets at once. So this is huge. You have no glint, faster ADS, and a full mag reload. You can't go wrong with the Modern Warfare car. It's a fantastic gun. And then to pair with that, we're going to use the well gun. So I went through and looked at pretty much all the different sniper supports, and I just really couldn't find anything that competed with the well gun. The well gun has too much going for it. It has gung ho, so it has instant sprint to fire time, so you can win those SMG fights over other SMGs that don't have gung ho. It has pretty good ADS time. It has virtually no recoil with this build. Even with removed stock, it has almost no recoil. It has very, very good TTKs, competitive TTKs, all the way out to 30 meters, which is pretty much the longest you're going to be using your sniper support weapon. It also has great mobility because it has quick, and it's an SMG with removed stock. So overall, this build is just super, super good. I do want to compare. A lot of people are going to be like, well, why didn't you say Lapa or the Owen gun? So I literally compared this to every gun, including ARs. And like I said, it really just came out on top. So a longtime favorite for me was the Lapa in terms of TTKs for sniper support. And this is a comparison of this build for the well gun versus the Lapa on a 250 health comparison. So you can see the well gun has a lot more range. The Lapa only goes out to about 10 meters with this build, whereas the well gun goes all the way out to 15 meters. And the TTKs are so close. The Lapa wins by a little bit up close, but that's like 20 milliseconds. That's not a big deal at all. And then everywhere after that, all the way out to 20 meters, the well gun wins again. And then further than that, the Lapa wins as well. So you're usually on Rebirth specifically going to be using your sniper support inside 20 meters. So that's where I weighted the most important area for this video, and that's why the well gun came out on top, just because it pretty much matches the Lapa or beats it in every category. Exactly the same with the Owen gun. If you build a sniper support Owen gun, the well gun pretty much just comes out on top in almost every situation, especially for Rebirth Island. If you guys appreciate all this work I put into this video, this is one of my favorite videos I've made in a long time. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like the video, drop a comment, help us out with the algorithm. Usually about 40% of the people watching the videos aren't subscribed, and obviously it's free for you and really helps me grow. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I think these were absolutely top tier loadouts, and some of them were unique, probably things people didn't think of or know about. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all in the next video.